Hey everyone, I just come back from work and I just thought I'd film a really quick video for you sharing my thoughts about something. So all of this is all day makeup, no touch-ups, and I'm feeling and looking a little shiny, but that's okay. So I pulled this palette out of the drawer today to use. And of course, this is the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. And many of you did pick this up when it was available early this year, but a lot of you actually missed out on this palette. Now, the reason why I'm going ahead and reviewing and sharing this palette with you today is that the palette is now becoming part of the permanent collection from Too Faced. So very shortly, you'll see these back on shelves, as well as the brand new highlighter and some other peachy inspired product. Now, the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette was one of the most hyped up products on the internet for a while. So I guess this video is sort of like a cross between a review and a worth the hype kind of video, because I'm just going to share my thoughts on whether you should pick it up now that it's become a permanent item. So most of you by now will know that the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette is my ride or die palette, and there are some similarities and some differences between this one and the Sweet Peach palette. The Sweet Peach palette, you can see on the top, contains 18 shades as opposed to 16 shades in the Chocolate Bar palette. The Chocolate Bar palette also contains two larger pans, one for a nude shade and one for a highlighting shade, whereas the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette doesn't contain any larger pan. To be honest with you, I really had no intention of picking up this palette when it first came out. It was one of those really hype products that I thought, am I really going to use it? But I was actually walking in Mecca one day and I saw it in person. I'd seen it all over the internet, but I saw it in person and I was really surprised by the beautiful neutrals in this. So while there are some glorious peachy shades there, it's actually these beautiful mid-tone browns which really sucked me in, as well as the beautiful smell. So I originally picked this up because I did like the neutrals. So I found that as I use this palette more and more, I actually started to fall in love with some of those peachy shades. 12 to 18 months ago, you would have been very hard pressed to find me using such warm, earthy tones. I was really into cooler tones. So I was really into like cool greys and silvers, but I feel like as I get older, they kind of age me a little bit. And so I have totally jumped on the warm eye bandwagon. So this is a very warm palette. It has a really nice mixture of mattes and shimmers. And then it has that odd shade here in Candied Peach, which is one of those matte shades which has a glitter in it. I'm not sure if the camera's picking that up exactly. But the shadows are certainly very smooth and quite nice. So I really do think that the bar-shaped palettes from Too Faced, the Sweet Peach, Chocolate Bar, and the Bonbon palette really are so much more superior than some of their other shadows. I'm not sure what it is about the formula of these, but they just seem so much silkier. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the neutrals. There are just really beautiful shades available that are really easy to blend and are kind of like a no-brainer eye look. They swatch really well from the finger but they also work really nicely with a brush. I find them pretty easy to blend out. I feel like the colours aren't patchy. And all in all, I think it's a really nice palette. I think that the standouts in this palette are the shimmer shades. However, there's some really nice mattes as well. This one here is the shade Puree. And it's just a really nice colour that someone who has a deeper skin tone can use as a transition. I really think it's important to think about those sort of things when you're talking about a palette. Summer Yum is also lovely and it has a red undertone, so it's like a red brown. The shades I use most often include Luscious, Georgia, Caramelized, and Cobbler. They all work together really, really nicely to give you a really warm, peachy look. So as I said, this is the makeup I applied about 7 hours ago, but the shadows lasted pretty well. I didn't do anything too intense, just a little bit of colour in the crease and on the upper lid. And what I have found with this is that the shadows have gone a little bit, I won't say patchy, but some of the blended transition parts here look a little bit more stark on camera than they do in real life. And they also don't look as blended as they did this morning. So for this look today, I've used Georgia in the crease, Puree around the outer V just to add a little bit of depth, and then Luscious just to add a little bit of dimension on the lid. So do I think you need to pick this up from Mecca? Well, I mean, that's your decision. If you already own lots and lots of warm shades, then maybe you shouldn't pick this up. If you already own something like this one, which is the Morphe 350S, then, you know, you're going to have a lot of repeat shades in this, although there are a few points of difference with these other shades. But again, they're the ones that I use least often anyway. I think it's a lovely palette. I don't regret purchasing it. Would I have purchased it again if I knew what I know now? Yeah, I still would have. I don't think the quality is better than the chocolate bar palette. I still do think that the original chocolate bar, and I do have the original because it's the thick packaging, is the most superior in quality. But out of the 3 palettes that I do own, I think I would put the chocolate bar palette at the front. I would say the sweet peach palette is second, and then this one would be my least favourite. I don't own the semi-sweet. And that's not to say that I don't like this palette. I actually really like this palette a lot. But I do find myself reaching for this one a little bit more often. I didn't share this with you immediately when I did get this palette. I did purchase this palette myself. I feel like I got it, and then once I like to give things a little bit of time before I review it. And then by the time I got around to reviewing it, I know that it was sold out in a lot of places, and I didn't feel it was fair to review something that was already sold out and you couldn't get your hands on. But now that it is part of the permanent collection for Too Faced, then I felt like I should definitely give you my thoughts on this one. This palette, along with photos and swatches, will definitely be on the blog, so check the link below. And I'll also leave a link above for you to have a look at my review of the Too Faced Bonbons palette. But this is a definite must for someone who's really in love with these shades, and it feels like these shades are still on trend. Going into summer, I think for us here in the Southern Hemisphere, I think these shades are going to be really lovely to complement just fresh skin, and this palette really is all about summer. But that's my general thoughts. I think it's a lovely palette. I think the quality of the shadows is lovely. I think they're very blendable. I think they're pretty friendly, kind of easy shades to work with. I've never regretted purchasing this palette. So it's just hitting 5 p.m. now, and the light is fading very fast. I'm really lucky that now that it's warming up a little bit more, I've got a little bit more sunlight to take advantage of. Usually my videos are taken two at a time, so I will film 2 videos at a time. Not at a time, but 2 on the same day. And I am usually only filming on a Saturday morning because I do work full time. But now that the sun is staying out a little later, I can film a couple more videos using natural light in the afternoon, as long as you guys don't mind that it is getting a little bit darker and colours aren't showing up quite as bright as they often do. But thank you so much for watching. As I said, I would love for you to subscribe, but more than that, I would love for you to leave me a comment and let me know what you think about this palette. I always enjoy reading your comments and appreciate every little thumbs up, so I'd love for you to do that as well.